Good morning. Glad you could join us. So, this time we are moving into turn 8 of the campaign. So, just before we get into that, just say, hope everyone's had a good week and been enjoying the campaign so far. Let me know what you thought about the Second Battle of Gloucester. I was hoping it was going to be a completely decisive victory one way or the other, but hey, we've moved into the winter months and we just ran out of time. So it ended in a draw, with both sides taking a hard pounding, but not too destructively. So it was an interesting turn. But I think this turn now, I keep saying this every single turn that we're in, this turn's going to be the final turn. But I think this time it has the potential to pretty well end the war one way or another. So just for a quick recap on what happened last turn, our Scottish forces, the Covenanters, have been sort of rampaging in the north, taking Royalist territory. Lord Gravely was in Liverpool and he marched to Shrewsbury. And down here you had Rupert, who was in Gloucester, and you had Charles and Sir Edward in Oxford, and you had Cromwell, who was, I can't remember which county he was in, but anyway, Cromwell and Fairfax both attacked Rupert, and then the king came to his aid. So we had the large battle in Gloucester itself. As I said, it ended in a draw, with the parliamentarians withdrawing to Worcester. Unfortunately for the Royalists, we did have Prince Rupert killed in action, so we do need to come up with a new name for a new commander for the Royalists. It could be historical, or if you guys just want to come up with an interesting name, we can name him whatever you want. If there's more than one name recommended, we'll put it to a poll, and then everyone can decide what his name will be. But yeah, that's our turn 7 roundup. Moving on into turn 8. So what we'll start off with is finding out who's going to get the initiative. So we've got our red dice for the Royalists, we've got our blue dice for the Scottish, and we've got our white dice for the parliamentarians. And we've got parliamentarians 4, and then the Royalists and the Scots will re-roll to find out who goes first. So we'll go parliamentarians, which is good news for them. Then the Royalists, and then the Scottish. So that'll be quite interesting because, yeah, with the parliamentarians stuck here, if they didn't get the initiative, they were definitely going to get crushed. Now, at least they've got the opportunity to try and escape. So good news for them. Next up, we've got our month. What month are we moving into? So last time it was October. So we're going to roll our D6 and see what we get. So on a 1 or a 2, it's 1 month. A 2 or a 3 is 2, and sorry, a 1 or a 2 is 1 month. 3 or 4 is 2 months, and 5 or 6 is 3 months. And so it's a 4, so it jumps 2 months. So October, November. So it takes us right into the dead of winter, December. Okay, interesting. December. Now we check on what the weather is going to be. So for December, and we've got a 5, 6, 7, 8. Clear skies. Okay. Not too bad. That will be useful if there is a battle this turn. And then any historical events. Which year are we in? We're in 1643. No historical events to name this turn, so that's quite easy. Next up, we got our random events. So I just turn this so I can read it effectively. So we've got Charles, and we've got Sir Edward. Seeing as Rupert is KIA, what I'll do is I think just make step Sir Edward up for the time being to be commander of their forces. So we'll just have the 2 commanders there, and then Sir Gravely in Shrewsbury. So it's the 3 for them. And for the parliamentarians, we've still got Fairfax, Cromwell, and William Waller. And then for the Scottish, we've got Alexander Leslie. Okay, let's find out. So working down from Charles, and we've rolled a 78. 78 is a faulty muskets. So a random musket unit can't fire during the game. They basically just act as a pike unit. So 78 faulty muskets. Oh, off to a good start for the Royalists. Okay, next up we've got Sir Edward, and he's rolled a 32. And 32 is war takes its toll. Roll 1d4 casualties, so one unit within his force takes a additional 1d4 of cohesion loss, and that's deserters and things of that nature. So 32. What did I just say that was? War takes its toll. Thank you very much for the comment. A conclusion to a great campaign. Yeah, hopefully the conclusion will come shortly. But yeah, thanks for watching and thanks for all your support. Next up, we've got Sir Gravely, who has a 36. And 36 is a strategic ruse. So this term, you take your strategic actions first. Interesting. So basically that means that whilst the parliamentarians would be going first, this turn, because of that, the Royalists steal the initiative. So even better for the Royalists. Interesting. Just make a little switch around there so that we know that the Royalists are actually going to be going first. And that's exactly what the Royalists needed. So we might actually be a bit closer to that conclusion than we realised. But interesting. Takes initiative. Okay, now we've got Fairfax. He rolls a 27. And 27 is unsuitable weather. So basically it moves the weather 1 point worse. So as it was clear, it's now going to be light rain. Okay, interesting. That'll have a bit of an effect. Another twist into yeah, indeed. So yeah, I do quite enjoy these random events because sometimes they affect the individual units, sometimes they affect an entire army, and sometimes they just affect the whole strategic situation altogether. So yeah, they do quite an interesting job. All right, so that was Cromwell on 37. No, sorry, that wasn't 37. That was 27 for Fairfax. What am I doing? There you go. Cromwell, let's roll. That's a 56 for Cromwell. Cromwell has got give the horses a good rest. Unable to move this turn. Horses rest. No movement. Oh dear. Looks like everything's going against the parliamentarians. Interesting. And just write down on there that was bad work. So we've got negative weather for them. We've got the Royalists who have gained the initiative. We've got Cromwell's army can't move. Let's see what William Waller gains. He's got 50 on the nose. And that is blunder. Before deployment, here we go. This one actually affects the Royalists if they attack. So before deployment, the enemy sets up one of your. Oh no, this affects them. So yeah, before deployment, the enemy sets up one of your units for you. So yeah, they get to redeploy one of yours. So it's a blunder. Interesting. So this turn has pretty well all been terrible for the parliamentarians, and reasonably bad overall for the Royalists, apart from taking the initiative. So interesting. And let's just roll now for Alexander Leslie and see what he's got in mind. He's got a 1. Okay, a 1 is recruitment drive. Add 1 conscript unit to your army for your next battle. So that's quite beneficial for them. Conscript unit. And so we'll just roll on that. So 1, 2, or 3, it's a musket unit. 4, 5, 6, it's a pike unit. So 4, so it's a pike. Cool. Alrighty. Interesting. This will be a very interesting turn, actually, based off of those. So next up, I'll just check. So that's that. We'll go and check on the options. Now, sometimes I've been told that when I flick to share screen, you guys who are watching live can see it, but in the recording, when people watch later, they can't. If you guys can't see it, then please leave a comment. But if you're watching after the event, then if the screen does go blank, just go on to the community tab on the YouTube page, and then you'll be able to find where all the results are of the polls. So share screen. Okay, so for the parliamentarians, option 3 got the major vote. And option 3 was, in the north, the Covenant forces will recombine, ready to march south next turn. And in the south, we attack the smaller Royalist army at Shropshire. So, interesting. Parliament option 3. And for the Royalists, we've got option 2 has taken the majority at 44%, and that was, we advance with all forces hard and fast from both north and south to trap and destroy the parliamentarians in Worcester, but we will dispatch a small cavalry force to raid and capture more parliamentarian territory in the south, thus depleting further their ability to resupply their armies. So that's a Royalist option 2. I haven't been able to see it. This is my first live stream, and no, you can't see it. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on with that in that case. Yeah, I've been trying to check around and see, but yeah, I'm not sure. I will have to try and contact someone regarding why you can't see it. But yeah, if you go to the community tab, yeah, then you can actually see the polls. Yeah, but I'm not sure why it's not showing. That's very strange. So just to recap, we had Royalists option 2. So based off of the map, we've got the Covenanters who will be merging this turn. Obviously, we've got our initiative order, which is for the Royalists. So the Royalist overall command was for this northern force to attack south into Worcestershire. And then we've got Charles and Sir Edward marching north, just dispatching a small cavalry detachment to go south to try and pick up a few of these last territories and really cripple them, cripple their economy. So it looks like we are going to have another pitched battle, and this time in Worcestershire. So that'll be an interesting one. Because of the fact that they've been caught, the parliamentarians won't be able to do much. They were going to be trying to attack Shrewsbury, but now I guess the battle's come to them. Good evening, Luke. I'm in the process of painting. Yes, I've got even more sprues of infantry and cavalry coming along as well, not quite as we speak, but as we speak, they're coming along. So yes, the numbers are building. Hopefully in the next battle we won't have to be using proxies of Napoleonic British and Confederate infantry. So fingers crossed. So yeah, looks like we're going to have a big battle here. Obviously the Scots are going to be out of it. They're not going to be doing much. We will be raiding and hopefully capturing a couple of territories down there. So it's going to be definitely an interesting turn. One large battle with light rain, so that's going to affect their abilities to fire, and it's going to slow their movement slightly. What else? We've got Sir Edward, who's going to have a couple of additional cohesion loss and casualties within his forces, so they're going to be coming up from there. Cromwell, he would be stuck there anyway, so it doesn't make much difference. William Waller, one of his units will be deployed by the Royalist player, so that's not going to be very useful for them. And yeah, interesting. What have we got here? I've just started my first epic pike and shot. Is that the first units that you're painting up, or your first battle? But no, it's definitely going to be an interesting turn for the campaign. I think, I know, and I said earlier, I always say this, but I think this could be the final decider if the Royalists win. If the Royalists win, those parliamentarian armies will be pretty well annihilated here. Even if they are able to try and withdraw, having the enemy basically on two sides is just going to cripple them. Units. Perfect. Are you doing English Civil War, or are you doing your... Oh, send her my thanks. Lost my train of thought. Yes. So if they do withdraw, or if they're able to withdraw, they will take additional casualties because they're surrounded pretty well. With the cavalry going down, they'll be able to make at least 2 of the territories neutral this turn, which is really going to cripple their ability to resupply. Even if they were somehow able to win the fight, losing the additional territories down here is going to make it very hard for them to actually resupply their armies anyway. So it's going to be a pretty tough one. English Civil War. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions on the campaign, the rules, anything at all? Anyone have any names for the replacement commander, or should we just let Sir Edward take Rupert's place? Crush those rebels. Yes, indeed. Yeah, like I said, we could just leave Sir Edward in place of Rupert, or we could come up with another commander. Really entirely up to you guys. Lord Ralph Hopton. Is that a historical, or is that one that you just made up? But yeah, that seems like a fine name to me. Regarding the Scottish forces, yeah, as I said, they're kind of going to be out of it for at least 2 turns before they can get into the fray. Real Royalist general. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll use Lord Ralph Hopton in that case. Let's just make a note of that. Rupert replacement. Lord Ralph Hopton. Perfect. Nice. Okay, cool. Yes, as I said, I think this is going to be the decisive turn. Yeah. I mean, with the rules, there have been adjustments. We've been using this as like the play testing for it. So as we've gone through, there have definitely been adjustments made. And there's a very obnoxious fly who's just flown in. What a pain in the neck. And I think, as I said a couple of times, nearly there now. There's just a few minor pieces that need to be updated, but more or less, what I'm doing now is working through the editing and an air raid. Yeah, it's a dive bomber. So I would say, yeah, give it a month or so, and they'll all be done, ready for release. So not too far off now. But yeah, I've definitely been enjoying the campaign and seeing how it flows. And I think it's overall been flowing pretty well. Everything seems to work. There haven't been any things that have happened that have been overly out of proportion, in my opinion. So pretty happy. How do we find your Facebook? My Facebook is, let me just share the link for you. Just one second. It is there. That's my Facebook page there. I think it's called Bream Bay Wargames and RPG Club. So yeah, feel free to join there, share pictures of your armies. Yeah, that's always quite appreciated, actually, if you share your images and your stuff as well. But yeah, that's where I post most things. To be honest, I don't use it as much as I probably should. I should get more into using Facebook. I just find it's a bit of a hassle. But I will try and be better at sharing videos and pictures and all sorts of stuff onto there so that you guys have more interest, especially with the rules when they get closer. But yeah, awesome. Yeah, please do share your pics. That's always good to see. But yeah, like I said, does anyone have any other questions today? Anything that springs to mind or you'd like to see more of? Otherwise, we'll leave it another minute and then call it a day. That fly is really annoying. Me and my dog are like hate flies when they just sound like that. Oh, here we go. We've got a question. What do we do with the rebel bodies? Build barricades. But yeah, I think that pretty well wraps up this this turn 8. What's going to happen? So yeah, looking forward to actually fighting this battle. Hopefully, I get to play as the Royalists this turn. But if not, I'll still do my best as the parliamentarians to try and get us out of a tricky situation. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting turn. But yeah, thank you all for taking part in the campaign. Thank you all for your input. It's really been enjoyable for me to have everyone's input, so I really appreciate it. And so till next time, stay safe and take care. Thanks, guys.